Okay, now if you're in 8th grade, this page applies to you. I want you to get your test and look on your test until you can find your simplification page. They're not all the same, but as you watch this, you should be able to fix your test as well. If you can't, come talk to me. This is basically just using your understanding of distribution. One of the things that I noticed about this page is people did not pay very much attention to the plus and the multiply. They didn't really differentiate between what plus was and what multiplying was. When I write 2x, that means 2 multiplied by x. It does not mean 2 plus x. It does not mean 2 minus x. It means simply 2 times x, and that's all it means. A lot of you guys were trying to combine things, and you were getting multiplication where there wasn't multiplication. So, if we look at this, distribution dictates that we go 2x multiplied by both things inside of here. Well, 2x times x is 2x squared, and 2x times 5 is 10x. Another thing I saw people do is put 7x right here. They added the 7 and the 5, and that just doesn't work. It's multiplication that you're doing. Now, to that, we are adding 6x and a negative 24. Many of you forgot that this right here is negative. Many of you forgot to actually multiply the 6 and the 4 and just put a minus 4 there. Okay? All right, I won't enumerate all of the mistakes I saw, but those are some of the general ones. Now, some of you guys left this just like this. You didn't notice that we have two like terms here. 10x's and 6x's make 16x's. So we can write 2x squared plus 16x minus 24. That is our expanded and then simplified expression. If you look at the next one, a lot of you, like 30 or 40% of you, put addition signs in here. There are no addition signs here whatsoever. We're simply multiplying all of these together. And since we're multiplying all of them together, we don't distribute anything. Distribution only applies when you're multiplying across an addition or a subtraction. It doesn't apply here. So what I have here is simply A times B times A times B times B times B times C. Now if I use not distribution, if I use the commutative property, this gives me A times A times A, there's all my A's, times B times B times B times B, that's all my B's, times C. A times A times A is A cubed. Some of you wrote the question, I don't know what cubed means. When we get later in the test, I'll show you. Times B to the 4th power times C. That's it. Now you'll notice A squared times A to the 1st is just A to the 2 plus 1. And B to the 1st times B cubed is just B to the 1 plus 3. And there's just that C to the 1st right there. This next distribution problem is once again multiplication, and then we're distributing. I simply multiply each term in here by each term in here. So I'm going to multiply 4a times 2a, and that gives me 8a squared. A lot of you put 6a right here. It's not addition, it's multiplication. Then I multiply this term by this term, and that gives me 28ab. 28 is 4 times 7 times a times b. I have to get all of those in there. A lot of you guys dropped your variables here. Okay, you forgot the a was squared, you dropped the variables off of here, either the a or the b. Okay, the next thing I need to multiply, I've got this one multiplied by both terms. Now I'm going to multiply this one by both terms. 2b times 2a is 10, a positive 10ab. A lot of you forgot the symbol plus. You just wrote these down and didn't have them added or subtracted. Remember, you need to keep that symbol with it. The next one I do is 5b times 7b, and that's 35b squared. Now some of you left it that way, but these two middle terms are like terms. So I have 8a squared plus 38ab plus 35b squared. Combining those two terms gives me that middle term. And this is my expanded and then simplified version of this right here. Just as a note, this is the factored version of this. Just like this is the factored version of this. Just think about that when we get to factoring. All right. The next one is x plus 7 all squared. Now a lot of you took this 2 and just distributed it to the x and got x squared, and distributed it to the 7, got 49, and just left it like that. That is not correct. Okay? We missed 2 middle terms there. This squared term means you're multiplying everything in here by itself. X plus 7 times x plus 7. Let me make that a little easier to read. X plus 7 times x plus 7. Just like that. So, I multiply once again, just like up here. I'm going to distribute each term in here with each term in here. X times x is x squared, just like up there. Here's the difference. I also have to distribute this x to the 7. 7 times x is a positive 7x. And I have to distribute this 7 to this x, another positive 7x. And 7 times 7 is 49. I have to do every single one or I don't get it right. You'll notice this looks a little bit like this. The thing that's missing are these 2 middle terms. This gives me x squared plus, combining those 2 middle terms, 14x plus 49. And that is the expanded and simplified version of x plus 7 all squared. The very last one we have to do at the bottom of the page here is another one that looks a lot like this, but it's just got a little bit of difference. Once again, we're going to distribute each term inside here to each term inside here. 4t times 4t is 16t squared. If I write that out to the side, it's 4t times 4t. And you'll notice this is all multiplication. 4 times 4 is 16. T times t is t squared. That's where we get that. Okay? The next piece is 4t times a negative 9. And so many of you miss this. It's times a negative 9. Okay? Positive 4 times a negative 9 is negative 36. And we have to keep that t there. A lot of you forgot that. 4t times negative 9 is a negative 36t. The next one is a positive 36t. That positive has to go with it. And then a 9 times 9 is 81. And a positive times a negative is a negative. And a lot of you guys forgot that negative once again. You always have to pay attention to those signs. Now I have 16t squared minus 36t plus 36t minus 81. You notice a negative 36t plus a 36t is simply 0. So that leaves me with 16t squared minus 81. In this one, I really don't have a middle term. That's it for this expanding and simplification page. All right. I would encourage you to make several copies of this page if you need to, and just work them and work them and work them until you understand why they're different. This is different because there's a plus in between. This is different. We don't distribute because it doesn't have any addition signs. That's just like number 1 in the homework. This is different because it does have multiplication. These are being multiplied and they have to be distributed. This is also something that needs to be distributed. It's just a little bit in disguise with this square. And this one makes those middle terms go away because one's a plus and one's a minus. Okay?